Hello and good evening and welcome to the Rangers Rabble Podcast. It is Monday night. It's phone-in night, 0141 628 7237. That's the number you'll need to get involved on what has been an absolutely, helter-skelter weekend. Obviously, Rangers defeated at home to Motherwell on Saturday, and then followed that was Hearts doing us a wee favour as well. So if maybe you want to talk about the game at the weekend, maybe you want to talk about the manager's comments, maybe you want to look ahead to Europa League stuff or the Scottish Cup at the weekend, do get your calls on 0141 628 7237. Delighted to say I'm joined by a stellar lineup tonight. We've got Kieran, James and Stuart. Kieran, how are we doing?
All right, aye. Pretty good. What about yourself?
Listen, I'm in fine fettle, as you well know. James, delighted to see you've joined us. How are you doing, my man? All right?
I'm good, mate. I'm good, especially after yesterday's result, mate. It made the weekend a wee bit better.
Absolutely. Yeah, certainly a get a jail free card indeed. And Stuart, I feel like I've not been on for you for absolutely months, so delighted to join you on the screen tonight. How are you doing?
It's been a wee while since we've done a pod together, and it's certainly been a wee while since I've done a phone in. So get the calls in, folks. Looking forward to having a wee chat about all things Rangers.
Absolutely. As Stuart says there, this Monday night's all about the punters. If you're joining us on YouTube, live, like, subscribe, and get your comments in as well, because we'll get a couple up, I'm sure, and chat through those aplenty. So, as I say, 0141 628 7237. I've just been advised that we don't accept withheld numbers. So if you can keep your number, not withheld, I don't know what the word for that is, unprivate, whatever you want to say, the producer will pick it up and stick you through. Okay then, guys. Yeah, listen, it was the weekend didn't go to plan. As we looked at the three games, obviously Hearts, Kilmarnock and Motherwell, James. Motherwell being the one that we'd have probably said will bank 3 points.
Aye, wholeheartedly, mate. I didn't think they would cause us any troubles whatsoever. I thought that was a given. I thought we would go there, especially after going to Kilmarnock on the Wednesday night and steamroll out the tap room. I thought we'd do another Hearts to them. However, it didn't go to plan, mate. These things happen during the season, mate, and it's how we bounce back now for me. The last time I think we get beat, we went on this 11-12 game run, and hopefully it'll be the same again, mate.
It has to be, Kieran. You don't get many chances like we've just been gifted there. Certainly, rolling up to noon yesterday, I think we all thought we were going to end up, back in second position. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and it's back in our own hands.
Myself included, I kind of thought that it would be a given that they beat Hearts, but the brothers across the side done it for us again. So the only thing is, I take it as, yeah, we maybe got away with one there, but on the other hand, we could have been 5 points top if we had beat Motherwell. So it's a bit of a sore one to take, but still keeps us top at the end of the day, so I'm happy with that.
Stuart, James makes an interesting point about, bounce back ability, as it were. We've now got, a fortnight before we're up at Dens Park, with 3 very, very big games and different games in terms of mentality. Will that help or hinder as we lead up to league business in sort of 13 days time?
No, sure. Actually, I was thinking about this in terms of, would you rather that we had a league game coming up just to try and get back on it and get 3 points, etc. But then another way, maybe just having a bit of a break, different competitions. Europe's an interesting one. I think I can sense almost when you're online with Rangers fans, there's a bit of a weird feeling about it. There's some general excitement because it's a big game, but also because we're in this title race. It almost feels as if people are saying, well, do you know what? If it doesn't quite go to plan, it's okay because it's not the most important thing. So in a way, I suppose the players and the manager can use it as a bit of a free hit. We don't want to take an absolute doing. They're obviously not in a great place given the result that they had last night as well. So, in this Rangers team, we've got a bit of history in this competition in terms of, how we perform in it. So it maybe I'm swaying to that it's maybe just nice to have a wee bit of a break from what is the madness and this kind of goldfish bowl that we're in Scotland at the moment, where everything's just so intense. We can step away from that. But there's still 3 big games. And my slight worry at the moment is just, can we get through these games with no further injuries, which hopefully allows us to then start maybe bringing some guys back, because it does feel as if we're just running a bit short at the moment, Robert.
James, actually, that's a very good point, because a couple of weeks ago we were actually, on here singing the praises of the squad, how strong the bench is looking, the options we've got, and then you look at it at the weekend. Cortez season over, Sima, a few weeks away still. Matondo, is not ready to be selected, and you've got Cantwell missing as well. So it is, as Stuart says there, another case we're back to square one, in the sense that we're just praying we get through games without any more injuries.
This is it, mate. We just seem to have hit that kind of patch now where players are getting down injured. I don't know what's up with. I don't know if McCausland's going to be out long term or whatever. I've obviously not heard anything there. But hopefully that'll not be another long term injury for us, mate. Hopefully the wee man bounces back for that. But for me, mate, it's obviously it maybe give somebody else a chance for the bench now, mate, to come in and actually play. Obviously, give Clement a headache, mate, that he wants these players on the bench that are going to come on and actually make a difference for us now. So it's good in a way, mate. It's bad in another for me, mate. But hopefully we'll obviously start to see some of these players coming back shortly.
We will touch on Europe towards the end of the show tonight. But listen, we want your calls, 01416287237. Dial up now. You can be the first one through to talk to the boys. Kieran, Saturday in itself then, a really strange one, because we have numerous chances, probably enough to win 2 games, as the old cliche goes. But did Motherwell just do a number on us in the sense that they defended with their lives, and Theo Baird seemed to run both centre-halves ragged?
Theo Baird had Goldson and Souttar in his back pocket. It just seemed to be that I didn't think out of possession, they just parked the bus and looked for that counter. But unfortunately, Goldson and Souttar couldn't deal with that counter. In terms of shots to win the game, listen, Silva's got an absolute sitter and he just taps it back to Kelly. He should be absolutely smashing it into the anywhere but there. But when it comes down to did they do a number on us, I don't think so. I don't think that they were massively the better team. They took their chances better, but they didn't have as much possession as us. We seemed to, at some points, we did really get form in the passing, but too many players off it. I think the mentality was the 3 points were already there. And I think that it's up to Clement to bring them back down to say, look, every game's going to be, treat it like we're behind. I don't want us to be getting too used to playing like we're in front, because when it came down to it, it just looked like too many players were off it. And I don't think Motherwell played exceptionally well, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that came out with the 3 points.
Stuart, Kieran talks about players that were off it, and one who seems to be getting all the headlines for the wrong reasons is John Souttar, at fault, you would say, for the first goal. I don't know, you think, I don't know if Redvan's going to get to that and he comes charging out and miss it completely. He was at fault for one against Ross County as well. Similar kind of situation in the sense. Have we got an issue at centre back?
I actually thought in recent weeks Souttar had been playing pretty well. Actually, I think where he has an issue is, and maybe it's unfortunate, when he makes a mistake, it tends to lead to a goal going against us. I think there's quite a few mistakes in that goal. One is it's a free kick in a nowhere position, and yet one ball, ends up with a guy in our 18-yard box. McCausland's telling Ridvan to pick up a guy wide. Ridvan should be telling McCausland to pick up that guy. That means Ridvan can then move inside. That then means that giant gap that the ball gets played into is not there. It means Souttar doesn't have to come screaming across. So there's lots of things. Souttar needs to be more smarter as well there. He doesn't need to go and try and win that ball. Let the guy have the ball. He's not going anywhere. Force him out wide and just deal with it from there. So poor goal all round, and we're giving teams cheap goals, Robert. And when you're playing a Kelly or a Motherwell like that, if you give them that goal advantage, then it gives them something to hang on to. I thought there was a few things about the game on Saturday. I think once you get back to one each, the bare minimum that Rangers come away with at full time is a draw. It should only be a draw or a Rangers victory. Shouldn't be Motherwell coming away with 3 points. And touching on something slightly what Kieran had said, I just thought there was a naivety to our play. When we equalised, given the length of delay that there was for the VAR decision and then substance of it, there was almost 40 minutes still to play. And yet it was almost as if, right, we need to go gung-ho. You know, it was almost as if we were playing as if there was a couple of minutes left. It looked as if our shape went. We were constantly leaving ourselves open to that, as Kieran says, just one long ball and the forward was able to get onto it. Got to be smarter than that and calm it down a wee bit. Goldson's got to be talking to Suter to say, come and give me a wee bit of protection. He's having a right good game. I'm struggling with him. Come and help me out. Or get Lundstrom to drop back, 5-10 yards. Just offer a bit of protection. But also just calm the game down. Go back to what we've been doing really well in recent weeks, which is playing our football. Be patient at times. We finally get a penalty because we finally started to play nice wee balls in and around the box, stuff like that. It just became frantic, I thought, and that was what I was really disappointed about. Just our game management seemed to kind of go out the window a wee bit. And I think, at the game, I think as fans, we have a part to play in that as well. I mean, there was a guy I thought he was going to gain himself an injury because somebody played a sideways pass with 25 minutes to go. And, but you could sense that in the stadium that it was, and I think the players started to feed off that, right, we need to just keep, I'd really liked Ibrox recently because there was a calmness about and almost a quiet confidence that we would get the job done. That seemed to almost disappear on Saturday and it became a bit manic. And I think there was, like I say, almost 40 minutes probably left in that game to get one goal. It didn't need to be the way it was. And I think that kind of disappointed me a wee bit. But as I go back to your original point, we need to stop giving teams a goal of a start. That's making the job even harder. James,
everyone in the comments, and I knew it would happen, Leon Balogun's name's getting bandied around now. Doesn't matter who's out the side, it happened, we got rid of Hadji and we were struggling under Michael Beale. Everyone was shouting for Hadji to come back and Hadji would look better than that side. Would it have been a game for Leon Balogun in the sense of more of a physical presence up against Theo Bair, or is it a case of, all the centre-halves we've got should be more than comfortable against the Motherwell forward?
Suter should obviously be able to deal with that, mate, regardless whether it's Balogun or Suter that's sitting on the bench waiting to come in. You're always going to get that because, if Balogun had messed up, it would have been John Suter should have been in the team and stuff like that. For the last 11, 12 games, I think Suter and Golson have been absolutely outstanding together at the back. I think it's just you're going to get games like that. Obviously, Motherwell came in, they got that goal, as Stuart said, and it gave them something to hang on to, mate, for me. And it's that way, if you give a team that goal, all the day, mate, is sit with the 2 banks of 4 and say to you, right, time break is done. And that's obviously something that, luckily, we've been able to do under Clement. But just on Saturday, it was just one of the games, mate, that it didn't look as if we were going to do it. And Stuart's right, the kind of crowd and stuff were starting to get anxious again, and kind of myself and Stuart were at the Graeme Souness thing last night, and that's what Clement was going on about. He was kind of touching on that last night, and he needs the fans to stick ways right to the last minute and all this kind of stuff, mate. And it was really, really good to obviously hear them say that. And that's something that us as fans will need to give this team just a wee bit of slack now, because they've been brilliant to get back into this title race for me, mate. So we need to cut the team a wee bit of slack now.
Trouble is, when you've been at your work all week and you've been taking it tight off the Celtic supporter that sits next to you, and you've been giving you tight for the last decade, you're going to enjoy it for the last couple of weeks, and that's probably where the nervousness creeps in, that people are thinking, oh no, what could happen here if we don't pull it back? But Kieran, I'll come to you just on the manager's comments. He sort of said everything the only thing that was missing from the game was probably luck. You look at the Hearts game where everything we hit went in the back of the net compared to the weekend. There was bodies on the line, and Liam Kelly probably his game of the season. To be fair, he seemed to stop everything. So, is it as simple as putting it down to just a bad day at the office? I know the manager also said that he tries to make everything perfect for the players, and maybe they were trying too hard almost at the weekend to get it right.
Yeah, listen, I think we hit enough shots to win the game comfortably. Like you said, Kelly had a brilliant game. There was goal line clearances, Motherwell defence, collapsed into the box and tried to make it hard. I know Sterling is being used as a utility player and everywhere, but a couple of games he's missed some really clear-cut chances. Obviously, he's not an attacker, but then you've got Dessers. Dessers, he's offside on one of them. The amount of times he was offside kind of reminded me when we had Flo Kimberry. He seemed to be offside an awful lot. It then turned into we panicked. We got near Motherwell's box and we panicked. Clement saying about luck, yeah, is luck, but players getting paid that much should be at least hitting the targets on those situations. Apart from obviously one Kelly saved, etc. Some really, really good saves there. Making things perfect. I just think that we just weren't at it. I still think we came into the game believing we'd already won it. And the restlessness at Ibrox, I don't think it makes a massive difference, but I just feel that some players, they panic on the ball. They panic when they're in that situation. When we're 1-1, you see Tav after he scored, he's getting the crowd up, he's doing what he can. Ibrox is absolutely erupted. And then we just go so flaccid. We're trying too hard. Like Stuart said and James has said, we're not playing that free-flowing football. It was more like we were trying the long balls to try and counter, but Motherwell were packed in their own box. They collapsed in. So I wouldn't say it was luck. I'd just say we were poor, to be honest.
Very honest of you indeed. Listen, we're 16 minutes deep and not one call. The chat is lit up. One of you pick up the phone, give us a call and get involved. 0141 628 7237. Stuart, I want to come to you on just refereeing decision. Now, we done a Scottish football chat last night that was, packed full of incident, and Connor done his best, but he was quite sort of forthright in saying that he didn't think the Rangers foul for the penalty was a foul. Is that wide of the mark? Definitely a penalty wrong.
Yeah, it was a penalty. At the end of the day, he's dinked the ball over them, and between the pair of them, they've taken them out of the game. It's a penalty all day long. Probably took too long.
I was going to say, just on that, because you answered that literally in seconds. Why did it take 4 minutes then to get that right? I'm
not entirely sure why it took that long. Whether that was a problem trying to get the right angle or whatever, but it seemed fairly clear that he's dinked the ball over them, and then they've, between O'Donnell and I can't remember the other player, they've taken them out. It shouldn't take that long. At the end of the day, I'd rather they took their time and got the right decision, and I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about some decisions which they're clearly not getting right. But I'm sorry, if you don't, I know it's saying that it was not a penalty, but if you don't play the ball and you go to ground and you play the man, it's a foul. So at no point does a Motherwell player play the ball.
Is it cute from Silva? The little thing,
yeah.
He knows, he gets it.
I think he's too quick for them. He's just dinked it over them. Now, like I say, what is Stephen O'Donnell doing? Why is he lunging in? Why is he going to ground like that? I'm surprised Connor thought that, and I think pretty much anybody that's been doing analysis on it, whether it's Sky or BBC or whoever, I think it was a general consensus that it was a penalty kick. But what I would say, this was a referee on Saturday who didn't want to make decisions. He wanted VAR to make the decisions. He didn't want to get involved in anything at all. It was an atrocious performance by the referee, and I'm not blaming him because we lost or anything like that. It's again another game which I think escalates, and he starts to lose control of it for no reason. And I got the feeling that there were times he just didn't want to actually make a decision. He was quite comfortable to say, right, somebody in my ear, tell me if I need to go and have a wee look at something. I don't really want to make that call here and then. And I think that's creeping in at the moment with refs. Look at the St Johnstone one. 2 absolute blatant penalties, and yet the referee doesn't make them at the time. He has to be told, and it feels as if they're using that as a safety net. And I think it could be causing a problem as we go forward.
James, just to go off on that, then Alan Muir was the man in the middle, and you look at the tackle on Ross McCausland, which sees him actually forego the game and he has to leave the pitch. Philip Come On was not impressed. He doesn't understand how Dan Casey stays on the pitch. described it as McCausland was kicked off the park.
Yeah, he was, and I was on Twitter the day, mate, and I'm absolutely astounded. There was a guy on saying it was Ross McCausland's fault that he got injured. Now, I just don't understand this at all. Does Ross McCausland think, oh, well, what I'll do is I'll leave my leg there on the chance that a guy's going to come in and just clatter me for the sake of it? No, the boy is absolutely taken out. He came following through with such force that had he made proper contact with McCausland, McCausland could have had a broken leg for that. And how the referee's not seen that at the time, or even VAR hasn't even pulled that back to even have a look at it, I think is an absolute disgrace. I just think that referees now, as Stuart said, they're scared to make a decision now without VAR being in their ear, or they're going to be hounded in the press, or there'll be certain other clubs saying that they should be banned for being a referee or whatever. So it's just, it was an absolute crazy tackle to have obviously come flying in for Casey, and he shouldn't have even been on the park to score their goal. So,
well, that's what it feeds into. But then if you come back to Stuart's point, where he said, but they're using it as a blanket to Kieran to sort of, ref the game from a distance. It wasn't even looked at.
Nah, there's too many people too many referees that let VAR ref the game. I think that's becoming the norm, to be honest. Like you said there, that the referees are kind of standing and going, well, do you want me to stop the game? Do you want me to look? Is there anything to look at? The fact that you see the boy, Casey's absolutely nailed McCausland. You can see some players get a tackle, they try and buy it, rolling a bit on the floor. You can actually see the pain McCausland's in. The referee kind of looks at it, kind of waves it away, but then McCausland tries to get up, and then he's almost back down again. You can see that he's in horrendous pain. It's just, I feel like referees now, it's going to take an absolute leg breaker before a referee steps in again. That's what I feel like it's coming to.
Well, if only John Beaton had been on VAR, we might have got a decision. Stuart, I'll come to you. Did you want to jump in there? You just came off mute. Yeah,
I'm just going to say, no one here, and I thought this at the time of the game. I think players' reactions tell you a lot. And actually, I seen this morning, I think Stephen Warnock on that ref watch in Sky says, look at the Motherwell player's reaction. He gives it the get up as if McCausland's, play acting and stuff like that. And that's an ex-pro telling you that actually that's things that you do when actually I went through him there. I've caught him. So I just reactions I think play can give it away as well. I heard some people at Ibrox saying they actually heard the contact as well, from on him. So I really hope McCausland's okay. Given what we've seen, like the Sterling red card, Cifuentes red card, you cannot compare them in that and say that's not even a free kick. We didn't even get a free kick for it.
I think that's what the manager was alluding to, saying that that's what he can't understand, given the decisions he's seen in the previous weeks.
Totally. So how quickly you've seen refs, either VAR get involved or refs make decisions, to not even award a free kick for that, is absolutely baffling. Winning the ball and stuff like that, we need to remember that doesn't matter now. And I think Bobby Madden's came out and said that doesn't matter if he wins the ball at all. It's whether or not he's endangering an opponent. And I'm conscious that when they do these still frames, sometimes I think you need to take them with a pinch of salt. But what that still frame did was at least show you how high he'd made contact on McCausland. And, that alone should be a signal to the referee to say, well, he should be booked one free kick in a booking. If he's unsure, then VAR needs to get involved and say, actually, you need to come to the monitor and have another look at this. A really, really poor decision, and another player that we've lost because of a really poor tackle.
I don't know how long he is missing for, but we are looking very, very short in the wide areas. We're going to need two Dujon Sterlings the way it's going. James, just on the manager himself, he was asked in his post-match just about, he'd said a few weeks ago about, there will be a point where we do hit a brick wall, and it's about how we sort of recover from that. He said he expected it a lot earlier than, I think he's 5 months into the job now. And he'll see, who's going to stand up because there was a lot of disappointed heads in there at full time.
And I think it's that old saying, mate, you'll learn more for your players after a defeat than what you will, mate, because everything's all rosy after you've won a game. It's how these players will now react. As I said before, the last time we kind of get beat, we went on this run and we managed to get back into the title race. So for me, I think there's a different atmosphere inside that dressing room now. It's not a case of, we've been beat, the heads will go down, we'll lose the next so many games, we'll drop points and stuff like that. I don't think Clement will stand for it, mate. He's got that aura about him, mate, where I think he's actually getting into these players' heads and says to them that they're actually better players than what they've been performing under previous management. So for me, I think we'll bounce back, and I think we'll do it very, very convincingly.
Well, there's me sitting here thinking, have I been saying the phone number right? We've not got any calls in, but apparently there's an issue with the phone lines. So it's just going to be the four of us now shoveling till the end of the show. It's a good job I write stuff down into it. Okay then, well, listen, I think that is a point, James, that there does seem to be a different feel. I was fortunate enough to be at the game last week at the Hearts game, and it just felt different inside the ground now. Whether that's me just buying into something like a kid at Christmas, but there did seem to be a different feel amongst the support, certainly, and the players just certainly doing the job. So it will be interesting to see how they bounce back. Different task on Thursday night, Kieran, in terms of his European opposition. But I think the manager's got these comments in nice and early about the dwarfing budgets, and we'll get on to our budget later on, because these two were at the Souness night the other night, and there's some interesting comments about the budget made there. But certainly, Benfica haven't been shy and splashing the cash in the summer.
Listen, Thursday nights are Rangers nights. I firmly believe that we can beat anyone on a Thursday night, to be honest. It's just if the players now believe it. The only thing I'm thinking here is that, are they going to take this Motherwell defeat and feel sorry for themselves against a team that you really can't afford, well, against any team, but particularly this team, you cannot afford to be loose on the ball or anything, because they'll punish you. They've got the players that will punish you. But I'm hoping that Clement can say, show me what you do then, show me what you can do to change this. And I'm hoping it's a real good game and we go out fighting, but it's that kind of old cliche is they've been beaten. Are they going to come out with their tail between their legs, or are they going to go for it? And that's the one thing that I'm nervous about. But like I said, Rangers nights, it's a Thursday. We've beaten better in the past. Let's see if we can do it again.
Absolutely, really looking forward to it. Stuart, just on Benfica themselves, they were absolutely trounced last night, 5-0 at the hands of Porto. I think it's only their second defeat at the league campaign. I think the first one might have been earlier on this season to Boavista. Interestingly, both games they lost a man in both. So, ill discipline might come in here. But I just want to get your fact. And Clement had said something like, and maybe this might have been lost in translation, so forgive me if I'm clutching at straws, but he said he would go to Lisbon to come out with maximum options. Now, that maybe says to me that we go there and it's kind of, if we get away with a 1-0, 2-1, we're quite content to take them back to Ibrox.
Look, the key absolutely is that this tie is still alive for us to then bring them back to Ibrox. If this is 1-0 or a 1 each or something like that, you're not going to tell me that Benfica are rubbing their hands at that result, thinking then a week later they've got to go to Ibrox, given. I think there is now a bit of a fear factor about Ibrox around Europe, given what happened a couple of seasons ago. So, yeah, look, the game still has to be there for us. That's absolutely the most important thing. We've got players who have been there, who have played there. It's not as if it's going to be a completely new experience. I know we are going to touch on last night, but I'm sure James will back me up. Butland was asked quite specifically about the game. Do you think you can do it? It was a one-word answer. Yes. And that was all he said. And so you have this sense that there is a kind of quiet confidence within the squad. That's not to say that I think they'll be taking it easy. I think they know it's going to be a different type of game than what we're used to. The chances are Benfica are going to have more of the ball. We might need to ride our luck at times, but it's then when we get the ball what we do with it. Can we hold on to it for periods of time? No, don't just turn it over. And I think that's what we have been good at, over recent seasons, is that when we've got our foot in the ball, we've managed to use it. We've managed to kind of take the pressure off the back line, get ourselves up the park. We still have players that can cause damage. You don't go to Betis and score 3 goals. If we've not got a threat. I know we're missing some players, etc. But I'm excited by it, and we should all be. The players should be. It's the last 16, going to a beautiful city, an amazing stadium. Will be a cracking atmosphere. Loads of bears over there, no doubt. What's not to look forward to? But the key thing is that the tie's still alive. Come the full time whistle, and let's see what they've got when they come to our place.
100%. James, Stuart says there about obviously keep hold of the ball, and it gets me thinking about the midfield three now. Nico Raskin has took a heavy battering in recent weeks. The last couple of, I think when he came on against Hearts, he came on against Kilmarnock as well, giving away sort of fouls in the silly areas. He wasn't great again at the weekend. Have we been a little bit harsh on him? Are we expecting too much?
I just think, mate, that he's maybe... They're obviously still trying to bring him back after injury, and you know what it's like in Scotland, mate. As soon as you get a touch of the ball, there's somebody right on you, want to hit you straight away. In Europe, will probably be a lot better for him because you'll obviously get time on the ball, and I think that's where Raskin will probably come into his own, mate. I think Raskin might have a good game on Thursday if he's obviously starting because he knows the game, mate.
Would you start him?
Well, I would, mate, in this game, because I think it's obviously you need that kind of player that's able to hold the ball, but he can also break defences as well, mate, with passing and stuff like that when he's on his game. He's obviously, like I say, Clement's obviously using these players and now trying to obviously bring them back after an injury, obviously under previous management, mate. As soon as you were kind of back up and running again, you were straight back into the team, whereas Clement's obviously trying to just bring them in, mate, giving them maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes, mate, try to bring their fitness back up. So European football, mate, is also different for playing hammer throwers, mate, like Casey and all that. For Motherwell that just want to put you up in the air, you obviously get time on the ball in Europe, and Raskin's that type of an intelligent kind of player that will be able to use that time and space.
It's divided the chat. Some people, Kieran, saying start Raskin, others saying bring Ryan Jack back in. How do you think the manager will approach it? As Stuart says, I think we're all in agreement. We need to come back with something to play for.
I think that if you start Raskin, like James is saying there, if he gets time, he'll get time on the ball. He can kind of help Lunny dictate tempo of the game. Jack and Lunny, I don't think work together. I just don't think that they can play together at the same time. I think they're two similar players. I think that if Raskin goes forward, Lunny's happy to sit back and vice versa. They can kind of rotate it. I think Raskin, at the start of his career, shot himself in the foot with a lot of fans by making a comment that he was already eyeing up the move to the Premier League. I kind of think that kind of maybe shot himself in the foot a wee bit. Maybe just my personal opinion on that. But I wouldn't start Jack. I'd maybe bring Jack on, let's see, maybe 60, 70 minutes in. Raskin's still coming back for a long-term injury. He's not had the most games, the most easiest run of games either. But I think that they'll start with Raskin and Lunny. And yeah, I would bring Jack on closer to the end, maybe just to tighten it up, depending on the result. Depending what you're wanting. I mean, you've got Sterling, but he's more likely going to be playing either left wing, right wing, striker or keeper. He's never really stuck in the same position. But I think, yeah, I would maybe keep Jack for later on if we really needed him to tighten up the defence. But I would start Raskin and Lunny and see what happens.
Stuart, does it show you how sort of polarised our support is that 6 months ago you couldn't have said a bad word about Nico Raskin without the fear of a Glasgow kiss, but now it seems to be the fact that he's not good enough, get him out. What was the last comment there? Something about he's not good enough. Is that just that he's maybe fell victim to one? Yeah, those comments, but also the fact that we brought players in that can play in there. Sterling's come to our eyes. Diamandi's come in and looked good as well. he's now got competition in there. He's not given, he's not been handed the jersey like he might have been at the start of the season.
100%, and I think injuries have completely derailed his season. He looks like a player to me who needs game time, but I'm not convinced. How does he get game time domestically? He's not replacing John Lundstrom, and if we've got people fit, it now looks like the manager is going to go slightly more attacking in the middle of the park. So we've seen Lundstrom, Diomande, and Cantwell. As the three. Gone are the days where we're having kind of two sitters. So I think Thursday could be potentially an opportunity to get more time on the pitch, more minutes in the legs, because I'm just not convinced how we'll see that domestically. And it's like I say, it's a catch-22 because it just looks as if that's what he's needing. Nico Raskin hasn't suddenly just become a bad player. We've seen when he first came in, I think back actually to the game away at Servette where we were really poor and stuff like that, and I thought he was the best player in the park. He covered every blade of grass in the second half. He thought he was superb. So there is still a player in there. I just think it almost feels to me he needs like a pre-season, And sadly, obviously, we can't get that because I just think his season has just been so stop-start that he's just off it at the moment. Could I see him starting on Thursday? Yeah, I could. I think it's like the team selection on Thursday is really interesting. Who plays wide left? Do you go with Silva on the left and Dessers up top? It's going to be interesting. Does that mean Sterling keeps wide right, or actually would you prefer to have his physicality and his running power in the middle of the park beside Lundstrom? I think there's a lot of decisions for the manager, and it's interesting because the options there's not many of them. So it'll be interesting to see what he does on Thursday night. I think there's a few positions where it could be a bit of a toss of the coin.
James, we've got 20 odd minutes, so we're going to try and make some decisions for him over the next back end of the show. So, just on that one, actually, Stuart sort of rises there about Silva. Would you play him in the left? Is he the only option we've got, or do we look at bringing in Scott Wright? Or I hope that's your microphone and no mine. I think somebody in the comments said there about Lovelace, bringing Lovelace in as well. Is that really something you can see the manager doing, bringing a young boy in for the cold?
I can't see him bringing in a youngster, mate. No, for the start anyway, and especially in such a big European night for us. Could it be right? You never know, mate. With Philip Clement's team selection, mate, you never know what it's going to be if we one week to the next. So it keeps teams guessing for me as well. I think it'll be Scott Wright will get a start. And again, it just depends what Scott Wright turns up. It'll either be the one that'll give you an 8 out of 10 or it'll be the one that gives you a 4 out of 10. Me personally, I think that Scott Wright's probably better coming off the bench in these types of games. With his pace, later on, he can obviously get in behind players. Kind of later on. For me, mate, I don't know. I could see Silva playing out there with Dessers up top, and hopefully Dessers is the same type of game that he did against Betis, mate, and obviously terrorises him with that goal that he got.
Well, just actually on Silva, because there's a quote here from Angel Di Maria. He said, Jack Butland is one of the best in Europe. They have the experience, they obviously being Rangers, have the experience of James Tavernier and Fabio Silva, which will be super motivated for this match. This will be a big battle for us. We want to be in the Champions League, but our challenge now is to reach the Europa League final. Kieran, let's talk about, obviously, the comments itself, and that he's dug out Fabio Silva, maybe probably because it's Portugal and we're going back to Portugal, but obviously interesting that a player of that calibre has highlighted the captain. So his work in Europe's not gone unnoticed, which is great.
He was a golden boot winner at one point. I mean, how he gets snubbed so many times for some of our fans. His defence work isn't great sometimes, but look what he carries us through. He carries us through game after game after game, comes up with the important goals. Some of them set pieces, some of them, like Dortmund, he's the one at the back post. It's crazy. The comments himself, Butland's a household name. He's an absolute fantastic goalkeeper. We've absolutely won a watch with him. He's a fantastic keeper, looking to replace Griggsy, and we've got somebody who's, I'd say, up there, maybe if not a little bit better. I think that the comments with Fabio Silva, there must be something about him that Wolves paid that kind of money for him, and maybe he isn't suited as much to this league because, like we were saying before, he gets the ball when somebody wants to nail him. Somebody wants to nail you as soon as you touch that ball. So when it comes down to that, I think that there's definitely something about Silva, and I think that I'm hoping in the European nights that he'll thrive. I hope that he'll maybe get to show us what he's all about, that he's not got somebody trying to kick the back of his heels or push him or shirt pull him consistently. So getting the comments from Di Maria there, it's really good, to be honest, because it's not like he's saying we're going to scud them kind of thing, or that he's actually highlighting that we've got experienced players. We've got players, and it's probably players that they're going to be talking about in their pre-match, etc., saying this is who we need to watch out for. This is what they can do. They've probably studied tapes after tapes of halves, penalties, free kicks, maybe no his corners. But I think personally that I wouldn't say they've got the fear, but I think that we've shown that we can do it on a big stage, and teams like that are starting to take notice and saying that they are expecting us to come there and put up a fight.
Yeah, it's a level of respect there, which I quite happily applaud. Jim Sloan, £10 super chat. Thanks, Jim. Still top of the table. Happy Monday. I'm going to say that was meant to be Moon Howlers. Make of you what you will, what he means by that. Indeed, happy Monday indeed. Jim, cheers as always for the support on the pod. I wish you could have come on tonight, but as I say, the phone lines are down. We'll be back hopefully next Monday, back at full force. Okay then, yeah. So just in terms of
Robert, let me ask you. I'll turn the tables on you. Could you see 3-5-2?
No, I couldn't. No, I think it's I know we're short on personnel, but to change the whole system, I don't think that would be the manager's way to go. I think he's probably more going to change personnel. I know somebody in the comments said there I'd rather go to a back three than have to endure Scott Wright. I don't know if we've not seen enough of it. Whether you look working on that in training, we'll never know. But I just don't think we've seen enough of that to go into a game of that magnitude and maybe get blitzed by picking the wrong formation. Is that fair? You all look stunned there like he's talking nonsense.
No. Look, I think you're right. I mean, it would be a risk. I just wonder, when you look at the players that are out, and where are you going to play? Who's going to take up certain positions? It is an option. It would be a risk, but it probably does. There's maybe more chance that you've got kind of players roughly playing in positions that they like. So, he's got personnel that could do it. So it just be. Let's say I'm not expecting it, but I've just seen something I was thinking about today, and I've seen a few folk kind of. Question mark. Do you think he could potentially throw a wee curveball? So, want to keep an eye on, I suppose.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you'll be messaging me saying "told you so" at 8:05.
Aye. And I'm sure you'll be doing that when he goes 4-3-3. Yeah, that is.
Well, listen, you two guys were lucky enough to be in the company of greatness last night. You were at the Graeme Souness night, which saw Philippe Clement and Jack Butland obviously star as well. And Graeme Souness has actually spoken in a couple of media outlets today. He mentioned how sort of comparable his time at Rangers was to the job that Philippe Clement's got, Stuart, and saying Phil's got a really, a big task on his hand. He had a lot of money to spend when he was a Rangers manager, Graeme, and could bring in, big stars from England at the time. Whereas Philippe Clement is at the other end of that, and he's having to do wheeling and dealing and get the best out of what he's got.
I absolutely say it was a cracking night. I'm sure James will agree. Thoroughly enjoyed it. They started with that, in terms of, Souness was quite open there. The job that he took over, he was outbidding Man United and Spurs to go and take the England captain. When you get Butcher, and when you then bring something like that, it made everybody else take note, so he could then go and get others. he was open and honest, saying, you know, that position is not what Clement finds himself in. But they talked about the interview process. Again, Souness was absolutely at pains to say that at no point was he, did he say that Frank Lampard should be the Rangers manager. He said, does not appear. I think a lot of people thought it was down to Muscat and Clement. It now appears it was Lampard and Clement, if you're going with what Souness said. He said he had no decision making in that. That was the final two. He just felt Lampard, knowing British football, having a Northern Irish wife whose family are all Rangers fans, he might understand it a wee bit more, that kind of that idea. But he was absolutely impressed with how Clement came across in his interview. Clement said that's the first time he's ever been interviewed for a job. Unbelievably. Souness, I think, nearly spat his water out at that, because I think he thought, Jesus Christ, if that's how well you're doing with one interview, because of how well he came across. And then let's say that the night was excellent. He did talk later on about the fact there was zero money to spend in January. He had no money to spend. So, we've had countless discussions on this pod about Shankland and stuff like that. It would be very hard to go to Hearts to say, right, we'd quite like to buy Lawrence Shankland, and the Hearts saying, well, how much are you willing to spend? And us saying nothing, and them saying, well, we want 4.5 million. It's quite a hard negotiation to do then. He was really pleased, though, in terms of how the board and probably Kloppen, who's came in, how they've kind of thought outside the box to get like the Diomande deal done, getting the loan with getting that obligation to buying the summer. All the money was used in the summer, so there was zero money to spend on transfers in January. So he was delighted with that. And then I think there was kind of, James will come in, but I think there was kind of bits around about just talking about how he's managed to get a team that looked completely broken, and how he's managed to now get them to where they are now. So even to the extent that Sima came into his office on Sunday morning to say, I know I'm injured, but can I come to Lisbon with you all? I want to be there. I want to be part of the group. And that's that sort of, he's delighted by that environment, that, there's a real camaraderie between them. They're all working for each other. They're all looking out for each other, which, as we saw at the tail end of the Beeley area was non-existent. So he came across really well. I'll let James talk about Butland too. I think he was just gobsmacked by the reception he got, but Clement came across really well. Funny at times. I think he's enjoying the Glasgow experience. He talked about his experience in Monaco, where, three guys and a dog turn up to watch a game, and very nice living and stuff like that. All of that was absolutely lovely, but that passion and all that for the game isn't there. Whereas he's in it and he's loving it. And I think his final words were, I feel like this is my family now. So, for 5 months in, I think you can safely say that Philip Clement gets what it's all about up here, and he's loving every minute. So yeah, it was a quality night.
I wonder what was going through his head then, when the board said, right, we want to interview you first, and if this guy's now been interviewed before, to actually
I had to do a presentation, and it was quite open. So, I mean, the hardest questions came from Souness, and Souness said, you're 1-0 down at half time to a team that you should be beating. The title's going to the wire. You've got 50,000 people out there that are starting to get edgy. They're on your back. What are you doing about it? And by all accounts, how he and maybe actually we're starting to see that, because I hope we don't have to make as many subs at half time, because I think that generally means we're not doing quite well in games. But I think I'm assuming part of his answer, he couldn't quite remember what he said, but I think he's clearly said he's not scared to make changes and stuff like that. And whatever his answer was, he impressed us. But yeah, I think Bisgrove and Bennett, they were the easy questions. I think it was Souness was the one that gave him the grilling the most. And that's good. That's what you want. And that's why Souness was part of the process, surely.
James, obviously you were there as well, and as Stuart alludes to there, I think you had said privately to me earlier on the day about Jack Butland had just been maybe sort of blown away by the enormity of the club.
Yep, aye. And I think Graeme Souness had said to him at one point, he says it doesn't matter what you've done previous or what you're going to do. He said if you do leave Rangers, he says, but you will never ever experience anything like this club again, no matter where you go in the world. He said this is a club that's different to anything around the world, and Butland said that himself. He says obviously being here since the start of the season, he actually feels as if he's found a home. He says I was looking for a challenge. He says, and when Rangers came calling, he said it was March or something. I think he said, Stuart, that Rangers had got in touch with him, and as soon as he obviously heard that Rangers were interested for him, he just wanted up the road. He said as soon as the season was finished, he was in his car up the road and got the deal signed and delivered, and wanted to be part of something special. He said so. That was obviously good to hear from him.
It's incredible, isn't it, as you both talk there, you know, the sort of stories we hear about Lampard and transfer budgets, and it's all paper talk. Then you get it for the horse's mouth and it puts it into perspective. Kieran, I do want to get you involved here. I'm guessing you weren't at the night, were you? You weren't there, were you? Okay, that's great. So neither was I, so it makes me feel a wee bit better. So as Stuart says there, you know, we're sitting here and I was shouting for the hills for 30 days solid about Lawrence Shankland and why we're not getting Shankland, why we're not getting a striker, and why we're not splashing more cash. And then there was talk that we needed to move Ridvan on to fund another move and blah, blah, blah. That's when it went on. But as Stuart alludes to, there was no budget there. But what we have done is we've been clever. And the 3 players we brought in, okay, Silva's probably not going to stay. But Cortez, up until his injury, looked fantastic. We're going to keep Diamandi. I'm sure I think there's an option on Cortez. We'll have to see how that pans out. But it's great business.
We came with no got any money though, because player ID spent it all. That seems to be what kind of happened there. I mean, some of the signings he made, right? He got Butland on a free. He got Cantwell, Raskin, and Sima. I'm hoping that we do pay for Sima, because as Stuart was saying there, he's coming into the gaffer's office saying, even though I'm injured, I want to be there. I'm positive.
Says a lot. He wants to be around it.
Aye, and I think that, I mean, he's going to go, if he goes back to Brighton, he's not going to play for Brighton. We're going to loan him out again or try and get money elsewhere. He knows the club now. He knows his surroundings now. He's got good pals up here now, I'm assuming. Ken, I'm hoping that we do decide to pay the money for him. The deals he did with Diamandi, absolutely brilliant. Obligation to buy, but still getting him on loan, I think is brilliant. The deal on Cortez, I think it'll probably be decided when he comes back from the injury and see how badly he is. If it's been speaking to his parents' club, then I don't know to the extent how bad it is, and maybe they might say, look, we want him back to get him treated, etc. here. Saying that there, that Sima is the one that can force the move, I hope so. I think that he's really, really settled here. I think that he's a player that's kind of found his home here as well. I think the fans have took to him, maybe not at the start, myself included. But I'm hoping that we can maybe free up some space in the summer, get a wee bit of money and maybe move a couple of players on, including one that's currently on loan, or one or two that's currently on loan away. I think that maybe that will be able to free up the space, but I trust in this team now to scout the players that we need, not players that you sit down in front of and go, I think you should play for Rangers, like the previous person did. I think we've got a real structure now, and I'm hoping that we can get the best out on money now.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I'm really excited to see what the management duo of Coppin and Clermont can do in terms of recruitment come the summer. James,
Robert, just to very quickly, Robert, just to say one of the things that he did, and I know James touched on it briefly, but I think it's important to mention again, because he's now mentioned it in a press conference and then at a kind of live event like that, is this fans leaving early from the game. It is clearly something that's on the manager's mind. He's told the players, win, lose or draw, you do not go up that tunnel. You walk round those 4 stands and you applaud those left. He wants more people to be there. he wants, he's talked, there is a synergy now between the stands and the players, and he wants to keep building that. He clearly feels that that's an element that's still missing, and he clearly feels that, for this run in, particularly at home, getting people to be there to cheer on the team, right to the final whistle is massively important. I sit at Ibrox, I sit right beside the hospitality suite. Folk were getting out of their hospitality seats and leaving before the final whistle on Saturday. They're not going to get the subway. So I can understand it. I just think it's really interesting that he's now been so vocal about it. He's kind of saying, we're trying our best for you. I'm asking something of you now. Can you give us the backing and try? If you can, there'll always be circumstances why people need to move and leave and stuff like that. But if it's possible, you can stay at the full-time whistle. We'd really appreciate that. And I just thought it was interesting that he made a point of bringing it up again.
Do you think it's a cultural thing, that, in terms of that almost seems to happen in British football? I sit there at night and I watch La Liga or I watch a bit of Serie A, and I don't see them leaving at the final, with 5 minutes to go.
Potentially, and look, I mean, there's a fucking transportation issue in and around Ibrox and stuff like that. So absolutely get it. So yeah, maybe it is just a bit strange that he's seeing people. We see it at 70, 75 minutes. I'm pretty sure anybody goes to Ibrox, they probably know folk who leave at half time. There was a guy sitting beside me on Saturday. Didn't see him again in the second half. Just disappeared. So what's something might have happened. I hope not, or something like that. I hope he's all right. But it's clearly something he has seen, and maybe you are right. Maybe it is a bit of a cultural thing that it seems strange that come full time, there's thousands and thousands of people are already making their way down Edmonstone Drive and Paisley Road West. It does seem strange.
It will take a big shift, I think, to eradicate that. Listen, following us tonight, it's the women's show. Join Wilf and the gang as they shoot through the league campaign in the WSL, as they call it. So I've got a late entry here from KW Super Chat. Silva going to be out of our budget. James, just quickly on that, it does seem to be, even if you could get him on a free, right, hypothetically, his wages are just going to be astronomical. I think he's on 70 grand a week at Wolverhampton.
I think the best we can do, mate, again, is probably ask for another loan, but I think Wolves will be wanting to cut their ties with the boy. Obviously, he's not lived up to his £35 million price tag, but again, it's not the boy's fault that he's obviously been priced at that. Again, there is a player there, mate. He seems to be 2 or 3 moves ahead of anybody else in the park at times. He's got a lovely touch. He knows what he wants to do with the ball as soon as it comes to him. So for me, I think it'll be very hard, mate, to get him, unless we can work our wonders again and maybe get him on loan. But can I just obviously pick up something else, mate? Last night with Butland, Jim White was kind of pushing him, mate, on getting called up for the England squad. And the boy just basically says, I need to perform well for Rangers, he says, before I even think about stuff like that. And I thought that was a nice touch for him, basically saying that he needs to perform well at club level. He needs to do stuff with Rangers first before he even thinks about England.
Some of the punters there, Kieran, just on Butland, some of the punters in the chat this evening were questioning Butland on Saturday. Is that a bit harsh, because he's been absolutely outstanding from the moment he walked in the door?
I think if you're a keeper, you run that risk. One mistake, it's a goal. I don't think he played really bad. His distribution wasn't great, but it's never been a massive strong point for Butland. I think that it is harsh. He's pulled us out of the rubbish a few times. He's came up with some phenomenal saves already. He's came up with just overall presence, I think, just kind of calms the back line a little bit. To be on his back for maybe a couple of things, no great. Did it lose us the game completely? We did it to ourselves. You can't blame him. The ball's got to go past everybody else first before it gets to him. So it's a shame that we've got some fans not so much turning on Butland, but Griggsy wasn't perfect. he wasn't perfect. There's not a goalkeeper out there that's never not made a mistake. I think that Butland's a fantastic goalkeeper. He gets the club. He gets what we're all about. And I think that we need to cut him some slack, to be honest. I think he's a fantastic keeper. And I think that it's maybe just a wee blip. But I'm sure he'll remind himself about that, saying not to do that again or to be more careful there. But Butland's got that talent. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. And I think it's been a little bit out of proportion, saying it was his fault, etc. I think that just cut him some slack. That's my opinion on it. Everyone else has got an opinion, but I think cut him some slack. He's a fantastic keeper for us, and we're lucky to have him.
I stand with you. It's ridiculous. Stuart, you're going to come in there just before I went to Kieran. You were going to have a word on Jack Butland. I'll give you the final word to you tonight.
Just a rather wee funny moment from the Clement was obviously asked about Butland, and he was saying some really nice things, and talking about, obviously his quality as a goalkeeper, but him as a person, how he is around the training ground and stuff like that, the dressing room. But did remind him that, he set decent standards, but he expects him to keep that, because if he doesn't, then he might be putting Dujon Sterling in goal.
He does. I like that. He does have that in him, doesn't he? Okay, lads, listen, a really good shift tonight because we had to do it without the punters. Obviously, we had a wee bit of a technical itch, but we will be back next Monday, as I say, for another instalment. Following us tonight, as I say, is the women's show. John Wolf and the gang, and they'll talk through all the latest gossip and action from the SWSL. I'm being reminded it is. And we're back on Thursday night for build-up and reaction from Lisbon. And then we've got a Friday night pod as well, and then we'll be there from Easter Road as well, build up and reaction on Sunday. So it's absolutely non-stop on the Rangers Rabble. Keep your notifications pinged on. My thank you to James, Kieran and Stuart tonight. Everyone who joined in the comments as well. And we'll see you through the week. Cheers.